Today's episode, we're talking all about crew chiefs. Denny Hamlin once again is going to get a new crew chief, and Bootie Barker surprised by his split from Bubba Wallace. Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Jett. Welcome back to an episode of Inside Alliance. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Let's jump right into it. We're going to talk about the big news that was released earlier today. Gabehart will no longer be the crew chief for Denny Hamlin in 2025. In fact, he will manage basically Joe Gibbs Racing by being JGR's competition director. Now, when it was first announced, again, nobody had a clue. Even Denny Hamlin said he was shocked. He was not expecting this announcement. And of course you wouldn't. I mean, the pairing between Gabehart and Hamlin was incredibly good. I mean, they start off hitting the ground running. The first race together, winning the Daytona 500, another 5 races on top of that. 2019, 2020, and 2021 all made the championship for 2020. I think he had like 7 victories. I mean, the first 3 years was incredible. The last 3 years also was really, really good. All 3 years, he made the round of 8. When you look at Gabehart and Hamlin's relationship, I mean, the two were like this. They were perfect together. How they communicate on the radio. Whenever Hamlin would get agitated, get mad, Gabehart was that voice of reason, calling him down. Hey, get back to focus on the job at hand. Hamlin having Gabehart as his crew chief was really, really good for his career following his winless 2018 season with Mike Wheeler. And while there are some people that are saying, why would Joe Gibbs make this decision when you consider the fact that they didn't tell Denny Hamlin about this? They just made this decision. I saw some people on social media that were saying this is bringing back Kyle Busch vibes. When Kyle Busch had M&M's leave as a sponsor, how kind of the relationship between the two parties started to fall apart. Now you look at this with Denny Hamlin, FedEx, a major sponsor, leaving at the end of this year. Now him losing his best crew chief in Gabehart now. Could we be seeing a little bit of deja vu between what happened with Kyle Busch and now what's happening with Denny Hamlin? I don't think that's the case. I feel like we're looking a bit too deep into that. I think we have to take a look back, a step back, especially at Joe Gibbs as a whole. One thing though that I don't think we mentioned was how poor Joe Gibbs was, especially at the second half of the season. The first half, awesome start. Hamlin and Bell each won 3 races. Bam, they're right at the top. But JGR's last win this year was Christopher Bell at New Hampshire back in June, July. That was the last time we saw them went to victory lane. Since then, JTG, or Hayek Motorsports now it's called, went to victory lane at Talladega. Harrison Byrne and the Wood Brothers won at Daytona 2011. Tyler Reddick, even a JGR affiliated team, won at Homestead and made the championship 4, won the regular season title. Hendrick Motorsports won multiple races. Team Penske won multiple races and ended up winning the championship. Everyone, even the smaller teams, were able to go to victory lane except for Joe Gibbs Racing. The only time we ever heard Joe Gibbs Racing really in the news in terms of being competitive or anything like that was with Denny Hamlin and that penalty that he had, that TRD engine, and Christopher Bell at Martinsville, and we all know how that went down. Those are really the only 2 times I can remember Joe Gibbs Racing really being upfront and competitive. Now you want to throw in the 19 and the 54. 54 Ty Gibbs, while he did make the playoffs, he did falter. He did fall off in the second half of the season. The first half, that 54 was always up front, contending for top 5s, but the second half, he fell off a bit. Same thing with Martin Truex Jr. The first half, that 19 team was up towards the front, but then the second half, nothing. Gone and out in the round of 16 alongside with Ty Gibbs. So all very shocking, to see how much JGR fell off. And I think that's why they made this decision. Joe Gibbs as a whole has not been good in the second half of the season. And I think they realized that. That's why they got Gabehart and promoted him to competition director. I just mentioned the accomplishments between Hamlin and Gabehart. Why wouldn't you promote him to manage all teams at Joe Gibbs Racing so that all the teams can improve, not just have one team improve with Denny Hamlin while the other 3 fall off? You want all 4 teams to improve. So it makes sense for Gabehart to be the competition director at Joe Gibbs Racing. Now, yes, while it doesn't make sense why they didn't bother to tell Denny Hamlin, still, it makes sense. Now, what is Denny Hamlin getting? He's getting Chris Gale, who was a crew chief for Ty Gibbs. That is a loss. Let's not beat around the bush about it. That is a loss. Chris Gale has won 37 some odd Xfinity wins. Most of them was with Kyle Busch, but he did win the 2022 Xfinity Series Championship when they were an owner team. So, yes, Chris Gale has experience of winning in the Xfinity Series. Also has a couple Cup wins to his belt, but that was with Eric Jones years ago. So yes, it's a major win for Joe Gibbs Racing, but also a major loss for Denny Hamlin. But I do feel like that the two will be able to level out, because still, even though Chris Gabehart won't be there managing calls with Denny Hamlin, he will still be there in the shop, making sure that all 4 Joe Gibbs cars are at the highest standard as it could possibly be before they are sent out to the racetrack on the weekend. So again, I understand why some people may feel like that, as though that, oh, this could be something even deeper with FedEx leaving and now Chris Gabehart leaving, that kind of Joe Gibbs maybe pushing the door, trying to signal to Hamlin that, hey, it's time to go. But I don't think that's the case, and I think this is just a strategic decision by Joe Gibbs Racing so that all 4 of their teams improve and not just one team improve with Denny Hamlin. And finally, we're going to talk about Bootie Barker and Bubba Wallace. These two have been together since the very beginning at 2311 Racing, but Bootie Barker was announced that he would be leaving that role as crew chief for Bubba Wallace at the end of this year. Now, he will be part of 2311's leadership team on car preparation and strategy for the races. Meanwhile, Bubba Wallace will be getting Christian Eckes' crew chief. So you're talking about a crew team now that just came off of 6, 7, 8 wins in the truck series, finishing inside the top 10 in all but one race, making the championship 4. Seems like a logical decision, but Bootie Barker was shocked by it. He was not expecting this decision, kind of like what Denny Hamlin wasn't expecting Chris Gabehart to go. Bootie Barker wasn't expecting him to leave his spot as crew chief of Bubba Wallace.
I won't lie, it was a surprise. It was a surprise. I even called a shot. I said it'll happen sooner or later with Bubba and I to Bubba, and but it surprised me because I thought, like I said, the team, how close we were as far as getting in the playoffs, and what I thought we could keep doing. So I wasn't necessarily ready for it. And I criticize myself for that somewhat, because usually I have enough. I think one of the reasons why I'm still doing it is I have enough sense to see how things are going, or to, I always say, which way is the wind blowing, so I can be prepared for things. So took me a bit to get my head around it, I won't lie.
Now, here's the thing. This, in my eyes, is a good decision. Granted, Bootie Barker and Bubba Wallace, you can tell when you hear them in their in-car radio, it's like they're together. Like everything's on good terms. They really do like each other. They always have some banter on the radio. And Bootie did a good job of getting Bubba settled at 2311 Racing. With all the hype and everything around, new team, new everything. Obviously, this was in the midst of the Black Lives Matter movement and Bubba being really in the spotlight now. Mainly for more politics side. But anyways, he was still in more of the public eye. He needs to have someone that kind of hold the reins in and kind of bring everything back down to reality. And that's what Bootie Barker did a great job at, winning a race at Kansas in 2022, making the playoffs in 2023. However, yes, you can bring out the good in Bootie Barker, but let's not kid ourselves. There was also a lot of bad about Bootie Barker. Many times, either bad calls on pit road, bad adjustment calls, or just overall just being in a completely different system compared to his teammate or compared to the other Toyota drivers. It seemed as though that Bubba Wallace and that 23 team this year, especially this year, where they did the same thing that they've been doing in years past, where they start out horrible and have to always play catch up, or in situations where they do perform, or it starts out with them performing, they all of a sudden fall off. A good example, I look at Darlington, where he started off really well, winning the pole, leading laps up front, but then as soon as we got into that first pit stop, made adjustments, they started to fall off. Plenty of times we have seen that happen with Bubba Wallace in the past couple seasons, where they start out strong, and then a strategy call or whatever just has them fall to the back of the pack and they have to play catch up now. It seems as though that's been Bubba Wallace's thing in these past 3 years, have always been him and that 23 team playing catch up. Bubba Wallace can drive, and I say what you want about Bubba, but he can drive. And I do feel like that there have been many situations where he has been held back, or he has been able to get the results he truly wanted because of Bootie Barker's missed calls or wrong calls just in general. So I do think while Bootie did a great job getting Bubba to where he needed to be, we're now year 5 of this plan. I'm not saying Bubba Wallace is Tyler Reddick, but you look at his teammate winning all these races, winning the regular season, making the championship 4, while 23 team could even make the playoffs. That's a big issue. There's something that needs to change. Something needs to be done to switch things up. So while I understand why Bootie may be surprised by it, maybe a little bit hurt by it, when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, it was incredibly the right decision. It was really the right decision that Bubba now needs a crew chief. He was comfortable, nice with Bootie, but now he needs a crew chief that pushes that 23 team to win. Not just to settle, top 10 every now and then, top 5. Now they need to prepare. They need to go out there and win. And having a new crew chief on board that has experience winning back in the Truck Series, I feel like it'd be a really good decision. So I think this is a really good call from 2311 and to have a new crew chief for Bubba Wallace. Again, I know it sucks for Bootie Barker because I like Bootie Barker. He's a great character in the garage. But if you look in the grand scheme of things, if you want the 23 to start winning and being more competitive, a change needed to be made.
You can't tell me now about time. Do you know how many lines I done put down? Vibes I done sent out. But we in here to dig. I'll up the market till they come red carpet and kids. Success still the target. Soon I'll be crossing that bridge. But can't bring everybody with me, family only. I got some people think I owe a favor, barely know me. That's why my focus on the road, it's all I know. I